Okay, welcome back to the channel. This is BTE TV, and I am Tony Jackson. And today, once again, we are honored to have with us Vinny B from Vinny B Planting Seeds. Vinny B, thank you for being here again.
Thank you, Tony, for having me on. I had a great time the first time with you,
Yep,
and
definitely.
a lot of feedback, a lot of emails. A lot of people got those books. Um, and yeah, there was some things that I feel like I didn't bring up that I could definitely bring up this time. Things that I find important for the Millennial Kingdom people to know and, have good information about. So,
Well, absolutely. And yeah, with that being said, Vinny, I'm just gonna give you the floor and let you tell us what you have to tell us, because I know, yeah, it is. I agree what you've told me so far. It is important that these distinctions are made on these details, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know one of the controversial ones is about geographical locations and Israel, whether that's the real Israel, the biblical Israel out there. Is it in America? So I guess I'll touch on that real quick. So, I didn't even know we were going to do that. You kind of brought that up during the show, and I did the best I could because I literally for years have worked with a bunch of people who've done a lot of research, uh, bringing out these points that things tie into America. Uh, Now, to me, I will say I find a ton of evidence that Egypt was in America. Um, I have a video on it for people to see. It's literally a Masonic book saying that America's Egypt. Last time, I talked about the seven tributaries, the Mississippi, Black Dirt region. Literally, there's parts of this area that they call Little Egypt or Lower Egypt. Um, I think more points to it being here than out there. Another point, it goes back to where I say, like, they put us in boxes, man. Like the Christopher Columbus discovered America. So nobody pre that knew about America, right? And if you have that mindset, it could, hold you from believing other things. So one of those is that Rome was just this little Mediterranean area. And to me, I don't believe that. I believe Rome was worldwide. I believe people in the past knew about the world. It wasn't, 500 years ago, people finally figured out there's more land, there's more parts of the world. Um, I think that these people were advanced. They want us to think our ancestors were primitive, didn't know how to do anything, yet they built these ridiculous structures that we're not building now. They can't build some of the oldest structures. It's like they had an advanced technology. Tons of archaeologists and people. Graham Hancock, even now, with 2 seasons on Netflix talking about ancient apocalypse, who I recently talked to his team, and hopefully soon in the future I'm going to be able to get to do a show with Graham Hancock. But there's overwhelming evidence that it was advanced people in the past. So we got to get past that idea that our ancestors were primitive, people walking around in sandals, had no technology, didn't know about America and this and that. So another fact, this absolute fact is tons of coins have been being found in America that are Roman, some being Greek, some being Hebrew. You need to be able to explain that. It does not go along with the mainstream narrative that Rome is already done and that, nobody came here till about 500 years ago. Yet you're finding Greek coins, Hebrew coins, Roman coins. And then mainstream has to then, because they got to push a lie, they come up with excuses like, well, when these people were coming over in the 1500s, yeah, they brought Roman coins, ancient Roman coins, and lost them, right? Like that's, you see what I mean? They got to push these lies. So I know that you and your audience are very open-minded like me, and I'm sure it's not going to be too hard for a lot of you to realize, like, hey, we've been lied to about basically everything. So I'm open-minded to maybe Egypt was in America. But the important one that we have to get into is Israel, because that plays a big part of us as Millennial Kingdom people. Uh, I gave some evidence last time. People, want to keep saying, what about Ron Wyatt and other people and archaeologists out there? I point out archaeologists that show that this place can't be the real Israel. There's plenty of reasons to me why the place they're showing us is not the real Israel. Plus, it was created just in 1948. It wasn't even the original place they were going to pick, which would raise a red flag. They were actually going to put it in Africa somewhere. Um, and then they picked that location. So
They,
they've created this,
they were going
and
to put it here.
that too.
Originally, they were going to put it in the United States, like in Idaho or something.
Yeah.
So how
Um,
is it? Yeah, how is it
so
the promised land all of a sudden?
please, people that, want to believe that's Israel, obviously I don't get mad. I think people should question and not just believe what me or anyone tells them. But, when people ask in my opinion, I have to be honest and say, no, that is not. That is actually part of this futurism and fake Israel to promote futurism and make people think, oh, look, Israel was restored. So now we're about to come to this Armageddon, mark of the beast. Because for that to happen in Ezekiel, it's laying out, right, these prophecies. But so anyway, for us Millennial Kingdom people, we have to accept the fact if we're saying that the Millennial Kingdom started and we're in the short season, then not only are we saying that Nero was the Antichrist and 70 AD and all this stuff was like Armageddon, you also have to say that Israel was restored. And that was something that took me a while to realize, thanks to the help of my friend Matt, keep pointing this out and drilling this to me. And it's like, this is like mainstream Bible stuff. Like even the people in regular church, people who believe in futurism, they will tell you that Israel is restored. The 144,000 from the tribe, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes being brought back and Israel gets restored. That had to have happened, right? So as Millennial Kingdom people, we have to say that that happened. So I do. I say that that had to have happened. So where is it, right? It's not that place out there. It doesn't look like Utah, but where could it be? And to me, it's obvious that the only thing that makes sense to me is that it has to be somewhere that's being hidden from us. Um, and I think that's why it's important for me looking into more land. And that's part of the PSYOP too, not just to think that you're on a ball, but they're showing us these maps that are hiding more land, which I believe is to the north and the south. Um, I wanted to bring up a book, Jubilees, which they don't like to have that. It's not part of the Bible, but except the Ethiopian Bible has it as part of it. Uh, there's reasons why. Um, in that it talks about like the three sons of Noah being given these three parts of the earth, and Ham being the south, Shem being the middle. So mainstream and most people look at it and they say like, oh well, it's Israel, and Ham is Africa and Shem is this and Japheth is Europe or whatever that they're saying. But that's not the description that's in Jubilee. So again, I think it's part of this recent deception of making us believe that it's in a location that it's really not. Um, I think the earth is, the land, there's a lot more land that's being cut off. And I think that's what the ice walls in both the north and the south are cutting us off. And I know this might sound crazy, but again, this isn't a fact. This is just one of my opinions or theory is we could just be like we just might know about like this one area while there's an area just as big in the north and to the south. Um, and I definitely feel like wherever real Jerusalem is, we're not allowed to know where it is. They're hiding that from us. Probably because, if you saw that, you would know that the millennial kingdom happened, Jesus is real, the saints and restored Israel already happened. Um, I imagine that during the millennial kingdom, people knew it, of course, and people were taking pilgrimages and the nations were following it. But now we are in the short season. And I feel like one of the first things the devil and these people have done is hide that, you know, uh, to push this futurism and also that Jesus never came back yet. Obviously, if we were all seeing this place, you wouldn't be able to have that lie. So I think one of the biggest lies the devil did was hide where Jerusalem is. So I don't honestly think that it's Utah, but I am open actually to Egypt being in America and us not knowing these places. I feel like during this sort of recent reset, I think everyone all over the world kind of started naming things, thinking like, hey, maybe this is Bethel. Maybe this is, and that's why we have a Bethel here, Bethel. Like every state, you could find these towns all over, all over Europe, all over America, all over South America, Russia. And I'm sure Russians think that they have the real place, and maybe we think that it's real here, and we could be biased, but
So they
you
did
know,
it to confuse. They did it to confuse everyone. So because
yeah,
There's a Bethlehem, New Hampshire,
yes,
right?
yes.
And I'm
And
like, should I
is
move
that the real
there?
one?
Should I go
Yeah, yeah,
there?
yeah. And I think that during this short season, that's part of the deception, and people don't know where things really are. And while they're trying to recreate this old world, they're just naming everything, uh, and saying like, "Oh yeah, this is," and out there they're like, "Oh yeah, this is where Jesus was," and here's Bethsaida, here's Bethlehem, here's Jerusalem, but it doesn't match up if you actually start looking into it. And I just have to be honest with that. And I don't mean to offend anyone, but that Israel out there cannot be a restored Jerusalem, and doesn't match up to anything that I find in the Bible. Um, to me, I actually think it's in the south. In Ezekiel, he talks about it being in the south. Again, they're gonna push that into, well, he was talking about like south of Babylon, and Babylon was just north of it, and but then I even see in the book of Enoch he talks about Jesus coming down in the south. Um, so there's certain things to me that I pull towards possibly being past the ice in Antarctica is maybe where the real Camp of the Saints or New Jerusalem's at. Um,
So can I ask you a question? Because I know the reason why people think it's in the north, two reasons I think. One is that that's all the compasses point to the north. And I know you probably have an explanation for that, but and the other reason is the aurora borealis, like the lights that people
mhm.
see. Are they, what do you think about that?
Okay. Well, in that video I made, actually at the end of it, it even touches on Aurora Borealis.
Okay, my bad.
Uh, now to me, I got to say this again. I got to pick on the circle dish. I think that, basically 99% of flat earthers have always believed in a circle dish, and whatever information comes out, they'll just say, well, there is no 24-hour sun. Everyone's lying. Um, well, you brought a great point up, Aurora Borealis in the north. Well, do people realize that there's an borealis in the south called Australis borealis? See, yeah, see, a lot of people,
I didn't
you
know that.
people, but you just could look this up. People in Australia see a borealis out there by what they believe to be like the South Pole, just like people in the North believe that there's a North Pole, right? I don't believe that there's a pole, that there's poles, that this is actually, part of the cover up. It's the foundations of heaven, which they're hiding, that run along the northern border and the southern border. And when you get, things close to the foundations of heaven interact and you have this glowing thing. To get into it more, people could just check out my video, U.S. Army Training Video Proves the True Shape of Earth. It'll get into the Borealis, which is in both places. And I know flat earthers don't like to hear this, but there is a 24-hour sun in the south, just like it is in the north. And since that is true, a circle dish is never going to work. Uh, Another fact that I don't think anybody brings up is if you're at the equator, the star trails go in straight lines. That cannot work on a circle dish. These are just things that people could look up for themselves, and you're gonna have to admit, okay, maybe Vinny's onto something here. This can't work. So I think a lot of people always point to the north because they believe that's the center of this circle dish world that we're living on.
Mm,
And so I think everybody just focuses on, well, the center of the earth, that's what Jerusalem was described as. But uh, people thinking that, people see these maps of Mount Meru, the compass is pulled to the north. Well, in my model, you could see that it's just positive is in the north, negative in the south. This whole thing is like a battery. Um, and magnetism, how that works, it works. I have a thing in my model showing how that works, even so I think most people just pick the north because of, like I said, everybody's convinced that it's a circle dish with the North Pole being the center of the dish. But no offense to anyone, to me, I can't accept that for years because there's too many things that are real, like straight lines going at the equator, like the Aurora Borealis or Australia Borealis in the south, the 24-hour sun in the south. Um, this world is a supernatural. It's a lot more crazy than I think a lot of us can understand. It's a spiritual realm we're living in, with portals, with all types of stuff. And I try the best I can with my video to get into a different model than the circle dish. So, yeah, sorry I got off a little with the flat Earth, but to answer why I feel most people think it's the North, well, to me, I think there's plenty of things in the Bible that actually are pointing to the South. Um, if we go back to the first Ezekiel, when they're talking about Gog and Magog coming from the evil forces are coming from the north, it says,
right.
right? So if they're coming from the north, that would mean that Jerusalem wasn't in the north, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, and if people want to get into funny things like Game of Thrones, that has all the symbology. Again, they're the evil forces that are behind the North Wall, coming to wage war with dragons and this army of the dead and this and that. So I actually think the evil forces come from the north. So um, to me, I actually believe that it's towards the south. And yeah, you there, Tony?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
There's something on my roof apparently.
Uh,
Um, so all
so
right.
yeah,
No, first of all, no, you didn't go off on a tangent. I think that's important to know the shape of the earth. And I'm sorry I had to open the window. My cat was about to jump through it if I didn't open the shade. I do want to know what your model is because I think it's important that we understand the geography, in order to know where we are, where we came from.
yeah,
I think we should probably know where we live and what we live on. And I'm interested in that. And I don't dispute I don't have a problem with the circular dish model being wrong because in all the government and NASA documents, I don't think they mention a flat stationary plane,
yep,
but they don't ever say a circular dish or a round, right?
yeah.
Like
And
they don't call it a disc. I don't
no,
think.
they don't. And in that video that I know you watched a little bit of the beginning about the UTM map. So that's another big proof to me. So it's called the UTM map for people who don't know, Universal Transverse Mercator Map. This is what this is what the militaries use for map making. This is what GPS and aviation and everybody's using is called a UTM map. It's a grid system and it's all squares. And they admit that it's based off of a flat, like a plane, they admit. So again, not a curve, and that it's actually square, not a circle dish. And anything that's a circle dish or circle or a globe, there's no scale on the maps because it's a fake map. They can't scale it because they're having to change sizes to fit into their ball model. Um, the only maps that have a scale on them are square. And if the US military and everybody is mapping out this world as squares inside of squares inside of squares, then the thing has to be square. It's that simple to me,
At
where
some
like,
point, you run out of squares.
yeah, and if
Yeah.
it's a circle dish or something, you can't have equal squares. They'd be overlapping while they
Yeah.
get closer to the Northern Pole.
Yeah, that's true. That's logical. Now, let me just wrap my head around this. So
Yeah,
that means all the maps, even the old ones that people are looking at, the
yeah.
ones I've shown in my videos, and those are all fake. Is that
They're all recent. Yeah, which I agree with the flamenco people that, all the stuff they're showing us is recent creations. You know,
so? Right.
we we got to think about this point before I forget. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off,
No, no,
but
not
I
at
don't want to
all.
forget this. I feel it's important is for all of us that are trying to figure out like what today is compared to the old world. Well, if we are millennial kingdom people and Jesus came back and Armageddon happened, and then Jesus came back with fire and destroyed it. And it says the Bible that he's literally going to be moving mountains, flattening mountains, raising valleys, moving things around. And this place was annihilated, and that there was a change of the world. So for us who are saying that we believe it happened, well, then remember that when you're trying to look at these maps and say, oh, this is what it's always looked like. Like this is what it looked like 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago, when it obviously had to look different at that time because we believe Jesus came back, fulfilled prophecy, and destroyed everything, and destroyed Gog and Magog. So it says in the scripture that land was changed, that Jerusalem and everything was changed. It was elevated, and that's where you get into this whole symbolism of like this floating New Jerusalem, possibly being hovering over the earth for the 1,000 years, and then after the 1,000 years, and Satan being destroyed, it comes down. So this is what that all comes from. So to me, if we're seeing a map that looks exactly like what we're living in now, it can't be that old. And them showing you ice walls, that's new too. That's newer because some of the older maps show no ice in Antarctica. So I think there's been a lot of changes in this world, and I think a lot of these maps are recent, and that could have been people when they were creating that. Okay, because everybody must have knew. Because I'm sorry, but the Bible is clearly saying that the earth is square. It's talking about four corners. Even for us millennial kingdom people talking about Gog and Magog, what does it say?
The
That he's
four
going to go
corners
the four corners he's going
of
to
the earth.
go to, right? So and they're talking about angels in the corners blowing the winds and mountains and all this stuff. So they were talking about it. I point out that a Jesuit priest, Matteo Ricci, wrote to the Vatican when he went to China, and he's like, China says the earth is a square, a flat square. So like the Egyptians, the Babylonians and them, if you look deep enough, you'll find out they all believed that it was square. So I believe the Bible and the ancients knew that it was square. I think the actual thing could be like a pyramid structure, with us being the square on the bottom of the pyramid, and the different heavens going up, leading to God on the top, is actually like a pyramid structure. And I think that's why the
Hmm.
ancients are all obsessed with this pyramid, is because they believe that's where we're living.
And that's why it's on the dollar bill.
That's where it's everywhere. Is
It's on the dollar bill. A
Yeah.
pyramid with the all-seeing eye at the top.
It's also throughout Catholic churches and churches all over the world, which
Okay.
which I know people are going to say this is Masons, this is really Lucifer, but like I said last time, these are recent hijacks. They want us to think that everybody is like, a fraud, because they don't want you to believe Jesus was real. They don't want you to know. It's like King James. I know last time I talked about George Washington with you. So this time I'll bring up King James. They constantly push King James as like this Freemason homosexual, right? But when you start looking into it, he definitely wasn't. Like one of the things is King James was abducted from his bed, even when he was like a child, and then later on. So they literally had to have security guards sleeping in his room with him, which then they later perverted and made it like King James liked to sleep with men. These are hijacked stories, man. And they want us to believe that all these people are like Satanists and this and that. And I just don't buy it. I don't believe King James was a homosexual Freemason. And I believe George Washington was a Calvinist, like the earliest records talk about. It's a certain sect of being a Christian. He was a Calvinist. Um,
Was he
so
also a Mason though? Because
they say that about him and King James, but it could just be, you know, made up by the Masons that like to act like everything is theirs. That, everybody has been a Mason and that they've been ruling from behind the scene forever. But if we believe that the millennial kingdom happened, you know, they wouldn't be. They would be hiding like they probably were. If you were into stuff that wasn't Christian or about Jesus, you better have been hiding for the millennial kingdom because the people would have went against you, you know?
and no, wasn't so George Washington was president during the short season?
See, I don't know. I mean, to me, because we don't really know when this happened, right? And dates, and I'm open-minded to we could be being lied to about
Hmm.
everything, but it could be that he was, you know, when the short season began, that he was a remnant of it or the beginning of it, and they were creating this new thing. I mean, I'm open-minded to it. I wasn't there. I know we've been lied to about everything. So, I mean, I'm open-minded to it, but at the same point, I'm also open-minded to these people could have been Christians and maybe they're just trying to hijack everything, just like that symbol, like where we're getting at with oh, this is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. Or it was the all-seeing of eye of God that Christians believed in. It's just like the cross. Some people like to say, "Oh, well, the cross is, it's pagan. It's it's evil." Why? Or it was about the ultimate thing that's the symbol of what Jesus did to redeem us, and it's a key symbol to being Christian.
Right.
Uh,
And
but there'll be people who argue that that's a pagan for like the zodiac or something like that. And they got flavors for everyone, right? We know that there's just so much deception. So if this is what your view is, they got that type of stuff. You'll find endless works telling you that, Christopher Columbus was the worst guy who ever lived and did all these horrible things. You'll find endless stuff. But I'm just going to
mm,
be honest, it's all newer stuff. The stuff about King James, they're all newer stories. You go into the older stories, they weren't talking about him being some homosexual Freemason, you know?
wow. You reminded me when you were talking earlier about how God moved continents around and the earth may have changed. It may not even be anything like it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Um, it reminds me of that movie, that Doctor Strange movie, the Marvel comics. I don't know if you saw that, but
No, I never seen it.
yeah. So for people who watch it, they'll probably know, but they could they use magic. They were like, wizards and sorcerers, and they could to trick each other while they were battling each other. They would like make buildings like appear upside down, and they would change the whole makeup, the whole structure of the earth while they were fighting each other. They had to keep like trying to get through the next level of the illusion of the different facets of buildings being facing different ways, and you'll know what I mean
Hmm.
if you see a clip of it.
Okay.
Um, Now, but another question that came up was, do we have a map? Is there a real map of the actual Earth?
I don't believe we do. I think we're in the short season and they're controlling what we're allowed to see, and they're just showing us what they want us to believe is the whole world. But
How did people navigate on ships? So they
you
got
can
a hold.
navigate with stars, and like you said, cartography, um, and
Okay,
like even the Vikings and people, they were using stars to navigate,
I
which again proves that they're in fixed positions. We're not in an expanding universe like they want to teach us because constellations would be changing. So
this brings up so many questions because I'm looking at a map. I have a map on my wall. It's a map of the square and stationary Earth by Professor Orlando Ferguson. You've probably seen that map. It looks like it's a
Yes.
crater, like it's a
Yeah. Whenever I say square Earth, that's what people send me. But then I have to spend time telling them how, again, I think that
it's
people knew that biblically, if you want to have biblical cosmology, you're going to want to have four corners and the angels in the corners. But at the same time, they're promoting that this circle. So it's like they put the circle dish inside of a square Earth,
and
which
he
to me
does, yeah, and this guy does kind of look sketchy. Like there's a picture of
is
him on the side of the map. He doesn't look like someone I would trust to give me a correct map. But the older maps, some of the detail and like the lengths that they went to fake those.
and
Is
let's
that
be
even,
honest, every map, almost every map we see is what? A square or rectangle map, right? It's square. Almost every map is a square.
yeah, but I mean the ones like the Mercator, like the
Mm-hmm.
famous
Mm-hmm.
ones, like there's a lot of detail like that.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that if what you're saying is true, that's like sorcery, right? This is supernatural to make an illusion that big for us to believe, like to present us with a completely fake world where even the leftover artifacts and documents are fake. That's pretty heavy sorcery and illusion involved, right? To make that happen, to fake the maps, to fake the books, to fake the
Well, for us who believe they faked the moon landing and faked that we're on a flying water ball, I don't think it's crazy to say that maybe they're showing us maps that are omitting certain areas that we're not allowed to see. Like, obviously, like if people living in America, they're going to show us on a map an accurate geographical thing. The U.S. military needs to know what they're working with. So I'm not saying like what we're seeing on most maps isn't real. Like, um, obviously America, they're mapping it out and showing us it, even though size discrepancies we could get into. But um, I think the bigger part of this is that they're hiding certain areas or
right.
that we're not allowed to go past, the ice to see more land out there and that we're just kind of quarantined in a little area and they don't want us to know there's more.
Yeah, and I it's very frustrating to be where we are when
Yeah.
we just want to know the truth, and every time we think we find it, someone like you has to come along and ruin it and say, "Sorry, that's not real either." Um,
But
but
in Satan's season, you would expect it, right? This
yeah,
deception. Because think
yeah,
about it. The people, our ancestors that lived in the millennial kingdom, they knew that Jesus was real. They knew. They knew they weren't a flying monkey on a water ball. These people knew.
yeah,
So Satan had to do a lot. These people have been working overtime nonstop for, I mean, at least 100 something years, we could all say, because we got grandparents and people, and, we sort of know what has happened in the past 100 something years.
yeah,
And it's been a nonstop attack, just getting worse and worse. And now we're at the point to where people think they're a monkey on a flying water ball.
yeah.
So,
And
the deception's real. It's really deep.
now in your video, do you have a model? Like, you said you created a model of what you believe that this true shape of the earth is?
Based off of the book of Enoch and the work that this guy Roman, I always give credit to Roman. I mean, that's what we should do, is give credit to each other for who deserves it, not act like, I've done all this stuff. When I first started feeling like there could be a problem with the circle dish model, I started looking for answers, and I came across this guy who wrote a book called The Square Earth Model, and how they're hiding the square Earth and the ether. And I was intrigued by it. And he has a YouTube channel called Free Energy, and I became friends with him and started talking to him. And right away, I was like, man, this guy actually has the answers for everything, and I can't find anything wrong with this model. And now it's been, 7 years or whatever. He hasn't made a video. He's working on his second book. And here it is, this past 7 years or whatever, I'm out actually going on shows and Killer Priest in these places. And no other flat earthers are saying this. So I felt like kind of obligated to do the best I can. And, I use the work that he's done basically and just do some editing and try to shorten things up. But the guy's done a ton of work, wrote a book called The Square Earth Cosmology, and it's basically based off of biblical passages and the book of Enoch, which the book of Enoch is a big part of it because Enoch spends a good amount of time talking about what he saw when he was brought up to heaven and describing these portals and how the sun works, how the moon works, the stars. Mercury's going through the first portal, Jupiter's in the sixth portal. Like he breaks down in detail all this stuff. And so I'd say the model that Roman created and I believe in and promote also, I like to call it the Book of Enoch model.
Check the chat. What I
Yeah.
just sent you in the chat. I'm gonna shut my window now. My cat's calmed down.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, I could see a little bit of it. Now, looking at what you sent, to me that looks like a tabernacle, which is a great point for me to bring up, is in the Bible, it talks about when earth is God's talking about how he created it. Um, oh, what is that? Oh, I'm gonna have to look at this map you just sent. But if you look at this thing you sent too, that's basically how a tabernacle set up. And God talks about this place being like a tabernacle and like this tent, with the stuff coming down like a tent on the side. People just go look up what a tabernacle is, right? King Solomon and the Jews build tabernacles. They're
Yep.
rectangles, squares.
Yep.
So if God's saying that he built this place like a tabernacle, again, it backs up what I'm saying that it's square. You got your four corners. Uh, the big thing to me too is the ancients. Okay, so the whole world agrees that Japan is the land of the rising sun. Japan, China, that's the east. America, we're the west. Well, how do you get that on a bowl or a circle dish? East and west are directions. They're not geographical locations. But on a square earth, and like that model you just had up and the one I'm presenting, there's literally an east and a west. Because you could be if you're in California and you're on a ball or a circle dish, wouldn't you say the west is China? West is China. But that's not what we say. We say, no, China's the east, California, you're the west. You know why? Because at that international date line that they show us, that's where the sun sets. It's going through a portal. Enoch talks about the sun coming out of the eastern portal, setting in the west. That's why
Oh,
the ancients and everyone talk about it rises, why time starts, why the day officially starts out there in the east, sets in the west. Why would the whole world agree? Like every country agrees that this is the way it is. There's the west, there's the east, sun comes up there, sets over there, because they're geographical locations. And to me, that's again a big problem that a glober is going to have, or a circle dish, in my opinion, because east and west would be directions, not geographical locations. Um, and a great way to expose this is the international dateline. And if people want to look up, do you know about the Diomede Islands? Diomede.
no.
Okay, so you're gonna blow your mind, Tony, probably. And if anybody's never heard of this, I bring this up on Flat Earth shows, and everybody's like, "What?" Okay, so they're literally these two islands that are right by the international date marker.
Yep.
They're only 2.5 miles apart, yet 21-hour difference in sunlight. How is that possible? How could you?
What
Islands 2 miles apart,
what
be
are they
separated
called?
by
Di
Diomede. Yeah, and they call it uh, yesterday island and tomorrow island.
Islands
And
of the Bering Strait.
yes, this is right where the international date marker comes through.
Is this what Madeline was talking about?
I don't know
The missing
who's it.
time. The Diomede Islands are a pair of small islands located in the Bering Strait, separating Alaska from Russia.
Hmm.
They consist of Big Diomede, which belongs to Russia, and Little Diomede, which is part of the United States. The
Hmm.
islands are approximately 2.5 miles apart and represent the border between the two nations, coinciding with the international date line.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like what kind of what I think what Madeline was saying, that there's 3 hours of missing time.
Yes, 21-hour difference. So yeah, 3 hours missing, which does not, it cannot work on a ball, obviously.
Yeah,
And
okay.
even if people, if you just want to, the flat earthers, you want to drive, a ball of crazy, just show them what the international date line looks like, an image of it. It's not even a straight line. It's all jig-jagged and a rectangle part coming out of here and going down, proving that obviously they're lying and that it's, on a ball, it would be a straight line, right? Where the sun and the date would be a straight line, but it's not. They're clearly hiding. And even the circle dish, you would have a problem. It would just be a gradual, right? As flat earthers on a circle dish, the sun is constantly above. It's never setting, right? Well, how is there a 21-hour difference between those islands? What I'm saying is Enoch was telling the truth and that there's portals and the sun's going through that portal and then, they're seeing it a couple of hours later or whatever pop out in the other one. And I think it backs up again the model that I promote and the Book of Enoch,
Well,
that it's portals,
you
Pac-Man.
you might well, and I was just thinking while you were talking, like it might sound crazy, but when you draw on something, you don't get a paper plate. You get a square or a rectangular
Exactly.
piece of paper. So
Yeah.
if God, it kind of does make sense. If God was going to create the earth, he didn't go, "Hey, angel, go grab me a paper plate. I want to make my model on a round disc." He made it on he had a piece of paper or a canvas, right? Or
Yeah.
like what painters paint on. They start with a rectangle or a square.
All these buildings, all these ancient, the pyramids, all these temples and stuff, they're like square,
And they're on four, right? And they're set on
four
like
corners pointing to
it's a
cardinal
giant,
directions.
right? If you're building a giant structure, and anyone who knows construction knows this, I've been in construction like my whole life.
Hmm.
You need supporting columns. I'm not saying you can't make a round shape, but the foundation has to be rectangular with four corners being supported, right?
Yeah.
There might be
Yeah.
exceptions to that. I don't know. I'm not a structural engineer, but so yeah, a lot of it makes sense. And I just want to point out that that image that I sent you,
Yeah.
I went on the website and I sent
Right.
it in the chat. You
Yeah.
might want to look into this guy, Donald McKenzie. Um, he's talking about what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like looking at this real quick, I've never seen this before, but it's shaped like a tabernacle. And people go look up what God says, he built this place like a tabernacle. The Jews built tabernacles that are like this, a rectangle, four corners. I see he has the four angels in the cardinal directions. And what's funny is this looks like almost like the Jubilee description of three different bodies. But yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
this is we have to dig into this website. There's the footnotes point to Christian topography of Cosmos Indocaplistus.
mm,
This sounds real. Yeah, this looks like something we should dig into. There's a lot. There's photos. There's photographs of old
yeah.
ruins. There's old statues. Uh, anyway, just wanted to point that out. That this image comes with a link, and I'll link this in the description box if anyone else wants to look at that. Okay.
Okay.
Um, well, Vinny, I think that you have the onus falls on you now to present uh, a really good model based on your findings. Like like you talked about, you wanted to get something like really professionally done, like almost like a 3D, have like a 3D artist, right? Like kind
Yeah.
of
I
put
mean, that's
something
what Dave
together.
Weiss and everybody's been telling me. Like, it's on you, Vinny, to make the model. And I'm just asking for help because, Tony, I'm like you. Like, we're doing the best we can. We've been working our regular jobs. Like, uh, I just trying to help out. I feel, and there's people that are smarter than me, like Roman, but he's been gone for 7 years. Um, but I did the best I could in those videos, but I'm definitely trying to figure out a way to make like a third video shorter and better because I know, Dave was like, oh, it's an hour long, it's too long. So I'm like, all right, Dave, why don't you guys make one? Why don't
Right.
you guys help
Well,
me make one?
right. If you had some help, it wouldn't be
Yeah,
an hour long.
you
Yeah,
know,
I'll help. Hey, I'll help. I mean, I was a graphic designer. I don't have the software anymore, but I am good at Photoshop at least now. I have Photoshop. And
it, in the video there are parts where you'll see the model where it's showing like, the bottomless pit, the lake of fire, then where we are, and then, first heaven, second heaven, third heaven, and it's all in a square. And then you got the portals on the east and the west, like Enoch's describing, and everything is going through on straight lines. But things appear like they're going around poles because light is bending towards the foundations. So these little demons in charge were able to trick people into, oh, you're on a ball and there's these poles, and that's why you see the stars are doing that. That's because they're going around the pole. And when in reality, that's not reality. They're actually going in straight lines, just like Enoch was talking about, in my opinion.
the stars are going in straight lines. What do you mean they're going back and forth?
Picture like I point out the Matrix scene where he's in the subway, he runs to the left and then he pops out on the right. And he looks around, he realizes he's stuck in this like time loop. Pac-Man, where you go out the left screen and you pop out on the right. Um, it's
Oh, okay.
it's basically like they're going in a straight line, and then when they come, boom, it pops out now on the other side, almost like Pac-Man. Enoch talks about six portals, each, gateway or portal. There's windows, so they're like going through. He gives descriptions of like, the stars are going through this, the sun and moon are going through here. Jupiter's in the sixth portal. Like he goes into detail, the Book of Enoch, and that's how we tried to base this model off of.
What about the time that famous time lapse video showing the star? Like they just set a camera and they
Yeah, they
looked
look
up at
like
the
they're circling.
sky. It looks like they're circling. How do you explain
Yeah,
that?
that's what I was trying to say is um, you're seeing them being pulled to the foundations of heaven is what we show in our video. That like in the Bible it talks about the foundations, the pillars. Light is being pulled towards it, so it looks like it's coming, like it's circling around. This is like where it's so supernatural and deep that it's hard for me to just ramble off, and I want people to look at the video. And it might take you a little bit of time, but we explain how this is basically light, uh, circuits, basically, and light being pulled to the foundations. And for people who want to keep pushing circle dish, if you go into the southern hemisphere and you were looking at time lapses like we're doing in the north, we'll go look at the time lapses in the south. They're circling around what they believe is the South Pole, and they're going counterclockwise, which is what Jaron and people said they saw, because that is what is down there. Whether I don't like Jaron either, and I don't trust him, but I'm telling you that the people in the southern hemisphere believe there's a pole there, just like we believe there's a pole in the north, and the stars are circling around. So that's why they're able to trick people and say, "Hey, it's a ball," and there's these poles, and the seasons are from it wobbling back and forth, and 24 hours of sunlight in the north and 24 hours of darkness in the south, and then vice versa in wintertime up here. Um, they're giving they're explaining what people are seeing. Unfortunately, circle dish people, a lot of things you got wrong. And some people, I'm not saying you people listening or you, Tony, but some people, the big name people, maybe their egos are involved and their pride's hurt by me saying this stuff for many years to them. But at some point, I hope the people will start to agree and see what I've been seeing and start admitting that there's certain problems. I remember after the final experiment, the next day, all of a sudden you got Dave, and Dave's my friend. I'll call him on the phone right now. I love Dave Weiss.
I'd
Okay.
love to talk to Dave
I
Weiss.
loved it. I love him.
He brought me to Flat Earth Truth many years ago. So if
All
you can
right.
get him
Well,
on the phone, get him on the phone.
Dave's into this topic, so I could probably do that. Let's do a show, me, you, and Dave.
Oh,
Actually.
yeah. Okay.
I'll set that up.
All right. That would be
All
great.
right. So again, not picking on Dave. I'm just being honest. But like Dave and Dubay and all these people, like they had to right away try to figure out how they could explain what people are saying about a 24-hour sun out there, the stars going a different way. So then all of a sudden this guy comes out of nowhere and they're all pushing this model, Joe Hanvey, and people are sending me this model. And I'm like, it literally took me like 1 minute of watching the video. And I'm like, fail, wrong. I was like, do you guys not realize that there's different constellations in the South? You guys are making it like he did this model, which is basically like inverting the stars that are seen here into the South and trying to get them to go. And I'm like, you guys are wrong because there's different constellations in the South. Like one is the cross, the Southern Cross. We don't see that in the North. Yeah, it's in the South. They have different
Oh,
constellations. Okay.
the
So that
Crosby,
model
Stills,
can't
and
work.
Nash song.
Yeah.
Now I got to look into the lyrics of that song too.
Well, we know from John Todd, they were definitely
Yeah,
Satanists.
David Crosby, right?
Yeah.
He was like a warlock,
Yeah.
which is funny because he's such a goofy, pot belly, just anyway.
But
Um,
yeah, so that right there discredits that model that everybody ran with in one day because because again, you're putting yourself in a box, you're putting yourself into you have blind faith or like this mentality of no, 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 it's got to be this, and, and and that's not the right way. Like you don't have anything invested in a circle dish. Okay, I'm not saying the Earth is still flat. Okay, but maybe the model's wrong. That's all I'm
I
saying.
don't have anything
You know,
invested. You could tell me that I live in an igloo, and if you had proof of it, I would believe it. I mean,
yeah.
we
I
don't
believe we're in
know.
a pyramid.
We don't know. Yeah, or a pyramid. I'm telling you that I'm fat. I like that. When you said that we could be the block of a big pyramid, that got the wheels turning. But guess what? Guess what? I just was while you were talking, I was looking because I
Yeah.
remember one of the first Jeranism videos I watched. He was talking about the currents, how
Uh-huh.
on the globe model the currents don't work. They're all like they're doing like squiggles and the currents just didn't make sense if it was a
Hmm.
ball, right? They would like run
Yeah.
into each other and it would cut. But on a he showed, but if it's
Yeah. The AE
a
maps.
circle, then the currents go around almost like in a pool, like at the aquarium. I don't know if you've ever been to the
Hmm.
aquarium. They have a big round glass tank, and all the fish swim around, and it's all harmony.
Hmm.
So while you were talking, I was looking into that, and if you type in the maps of the currents and the tides, the maps that know NOAA and know the what is it, the North American oceanic, NOAA, the
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm North American Oceanic whatever agency. All their maps are rectangles showing the tides and the currents.
Yeah. Because, like I said, everything they have is
And
based off
there's
a rectangle square.
and there's a video. Well, because even this map, look at this, moon tides. and what they'll say is, oh, well, that's just us stretching out the ball, right? We just
Hmm.
unraveled the ball and then stretched it out on a piece of paper,
Yeah, well,
right?
they have to come up with lies to
Right.
explain
So
away what they want to promote,
what
which
I'm
is we're on a
saying,
ball.
what I'm saying, in case anyone's confused, I am saying that I I'm not tied to any model or anything, but while Vinny was talking, I was just curious about how the tides work on a rectangle. And as I was looking at the official currents and tides maps of our own government, all the maps show a rectangular model.
Yeah. Like I said, all our
And I
flight, military, GPS, everything's
yep,
based off of
and I
a
posted that
grid.
in the chat. If you want to look at the map that I found, I put
Thank
that
you.
in the chat so you could just see what I'm talking about.
Let me look
And
at it.
every video I say, "Oh, don't worry, I'll put these, I'll overlay these, before I release it," and then I just run out of time. So you guys will have to, the viewers will have to do their own research. But
Yeah.
you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
that's like your model, right? Kind of.
well, yeah, but they're still like trying to enforce that you're on a ball, so they gotta,
They
you
have
know,
to make it.
at the north and south kind of,
They have to
you know.
imply, right? They still put in the North Pole at the top and the Antarctica at the bottom, but
Oh, I
they're
see the other thing you sent. The Square Earth Cosmo Avid magazine. Earth's ancient history from the earliest times. That's right.
yeah,
From Sumer, Babylon, all these people. That is actually what I believe. Like we're an
yeah,
enclosed system and it's square or almost pyramid like, but it's like that, square.
yeah,
And that is what the ancients believed. And I've
yep.
seen images of that, and some of them even have like Jesus's face sitting on the top,
Hmm.
like God sitting on top of it, on his footstool.
And this is Vinny, this is why it's important that we have these conversations because
I appreciate
if
him.
you were afraid, if you were afraid to tell me what you believed,
Yeah,
then I never would have looked into this myself. I would still think that I have it all figured out. We live on we live on a circular flat plane,
hmm,
right? I never would have. That's why I encourage people, don't be afraid. Like
yeah,
we keep this phrase keeps popping up, being stuck in a box.
yes,
We feel like we already know what we believe. We can't handle anymore, right?
yeah,
There's people that are like, no, 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 but this is what I've been talking about for 10 years. I don't want to step outside of this box.
yep,
What me and Vinny are here to tell everyone is step outside the box because we still don't even know, right?
yeah. We're
We
scratching the surface.
scratching the surface, right? So, Vinny, thank you for having the.
Well, thank you too. You deserve your credit. I mean, that's what I mean. We always tell each other, even on phone call, we're so much alike, me and you, Tony.
We
That's
just,
why,
yeah.
and to me, that's like when people like, oh, act like I'm smart or something. I don't even look at it like that. I think my quality that helps me is I don't care what people think about me. And that's probably why I'm able to do a lot of the things. I'm not the smartest, I'm not the best, uh, but I don't care because I'm comfortable with who I am. I have a wife who loves me. I have family and friends who love me. I love myself. I love, Jesus loves me. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I've been for over 20 years being laughed at, and I don't care. I still just smile and keep talking because it doesn't hurt I don't have the ego and pride. I'm not, you know, and I could tell you're the same way. You just want the truth. It's not about your ego and pride or trying to present yourself to be better than others or the best or the smartest. And I think that's why we get along so much and why we're able to see things because we're not in a box.
Yeah. We're
We got rid of
open-minded.
that. Once you realize you've been lied to, you should just be like, okay, everything's possibly a lie. Let's start over. And that's what I mean, thinking outside the box, like, hey man, maybe like Rome actually ruled the world. You know what I mean? Like the actual world. They knew where America was. They were in America. They were everywhere. Maybe this is possible. Maybe there's more land that we're not allowed to know about, is where Jerusalem's at. And we're all arguing that it's America. The Russians think maybe it's there. People out in the Middle East think it's there. So just being open-minded, and then we could come and start finding things that are factual. Like
Right.
like we've talked about, some things we can't know, right? Like does anyone know what's past Antarctica? No, we can't know. Nobody's been allowed to go there. Nobody, right? So we have to make guesses. But certain things when you're doing it, like me with the circle dish, if there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, it can't be a circle dish. That's an absolute fact. That's not my theory. There's a problem with that model. And certain things, like if it doesn't add up, yeah, I have to let it go. And that's what I did. And I hope a lot of people are able to do that in the audience.
Now is Dave so I'm
Dave's
sorry.
great. Yeah. He's funny too. And I think he's turning towards us. Like I said, he's really into this. But again, he's been hijacked, like most people, by this whole Tartarian thing that I keep pointing out.
Well, he's
Tartaria,
not yeah,
but
He's not Christian though, right? He believes in the
no,
Bible, but he doesn't
he believes in a higher power. He hasn't
right.
gotten there yet, I don't
Yeah, he's
think.
not yeah. And that
But
that's where the
but I think
doubting
he's
is.
on his way. And
Now is
maybe
he
me and you could be the guys who get him, bro. Who
yeah,
knows?
maybe. Now is he friends with Jaren?
They were, and then when the final experiment happened, then they got into a fight, and Jaren talks crap about Dave, and Dave, you know.
Does does Dave
So
know about your
yeah, yeah, he's
theory?
known for years.
And
Even on
what does he say about it?
he says, I need to do better, like you said, make a better model that's more understanding,
Dave,
and I'm like,
Dave,
help me, Dave.
yeah,
You
Dave,
know,
I'm pretty sure you have more time than both me and
yeah,
Vinny
and the
combined
connections,
to
but
work on this stuff. Um, it's
but the
about
oh, I was gonna say, so the Tartarian thing, where again, tar like flat Earth is real, but the model is fake to me. It got hijacked by people that aren't Christians. Eric Dubay, Dave Weiss, and others are the big ones that get the big followings and the people love, and they're promoting a fake model, in my opinion. Not on purpose. Dave's not a shill or anything. They genuinely just got it wrong, in my opinion. Tartaria, people like me and others are pointing out, hey, these buildings, stories ain't adding up, founded, uh, and then we start digging. And when that was going to come out, they ambush it with Tartaria and say, "Oh, it's this civilization Tartaria built everything. They were super advanced worldwide." And I've been pointing out for a long time that's not true. And clearly, that's the ambush to hide everybody instead of saying these are Christian buildings, these are Millennial Kingdom buildings, right?
right.
And we
It's all
us
about
or people
hiding.
like me don't get the views, but the people who say Tartaria, they get the views and
It's
make
all about
money.
hiding the evidence of Jesus Christ's reign on earth.
Yeah.
That's one thing we all agree on is that that's at the heart of the cover up. That's
I
what
told
that's the only reason that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yes,
They would never spend this much time, money, effort, resources to cover up these really smart people that were great at building things. Okay, big deal. Maybe someday we'll be able to build like them, but the only thing that makes sense is Satan is desperately trying to keep people from believing in Jesus Christ being the Son of God reigning on earth, right?
agreed. Agreed,
Now,
brother.
so I we may we may not include this section. So I'll this will be a cut point.
Okay.
But I was thinking when you were talking about Dave Weiss, a certain content creator, a very fit flat earther, made a whole video about Dave Weiss rejecting Jesus Christ, right? Yeah,
I got to be honest, I never watched this guy,
okay.
although he
He
reached out to me, and we could
he
talk about that if you want.
he made a video about it. I just remember because I'm thinking about Jaren and Dave, and it was, and I'm like, where did I saw a video where someone was saying that Dave Weiss, Jaren, and someone else, the other guy that was down in
Wits it,
Antarctica, maybe
wits it,
pictures
wits
of
it.
them doing the devil horn sign, or it was Dave Weiss and I think Alex Jones were in a picture together,
Yeah.
and it was Tyler from Fittest Flat Earther that made a video called Flat Earth Chills, and and I could be wrong. I have to go back and watch
No,
it.
I believe you. I haven't seen it, but knowing Tyler personally, that definitely sounds
And he
believable.
said that Dave Weiss was a shill, and he was leading people away from believing in Jesus Christ. And now Tyler, Fittest Flat Earther, Tyler just made a video denying the name Jesus Christ and saying
That's
he
right.
will not pray to Jesus Christ. So like something crazy is going on. And I mean, we can talk about it and then decide if we want to put this in later.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Again, I'm just going to be honest and I'll speak from personal experience. So,
Let me just tell, I mean, in case this does end up on the video,
okay.
it just is what it is. And look, this is what my advice. Don't get attached to anyone that's on social media. Because what happens is people start, and I'm guilty of it too. I followed like a bunch of YouTubers that broke my heart, basically. When I found out, all of a sudden they said something that I knew was a lie. And I went, oh no, like that. It's disappointing. Don't get attached to a person,
Hmm.
get attached to the truth
Yeah, and Jesus.
and
Jesus.
following the guidance of being guided by the Holy Spirit. I didn't watch it because it was a members only video, but he did say that he refuses to pray to Jesus. He doesn't think that was his name. He also refuses to call God God or even Lord. And he says
Yeah.
the Bible was rewritten, and he believes in the Bible truth, but he doesn't believe, and he believes God sent a Messiah, but he doesn't say God. He doesn't believe God sent his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. And that's like you said, it's a 180 from what he was saying even a few months ago. I think on his channel he was saying how he found Jesus and that's what changed his life. So I don't know what made him change his mind. I don't know if, again, is it like someone's pressuring him to, hey, we're gonna unalive you if you don't uh, steer people away from, and that may happen to me. And I'll tell you right now, if I ever come out and deny the name of Jesus, I'm either being threatened or I'm lying. Um, so it's just weird, and I don't want to be condemning anyone. I don't want to be, but
Yeah.
when you're a public figure like we are now, you have to be accountable for the things you say because
Hmm.
you have a large receptive audience and you're highly influential, right?
Hmm.
So if you're going to come out and start telling people, "Hey, don't pray to Jesus anymore. It's the devil. It's evil." That's not I don't know what his name was, but it wasn't Jesus. In fact, I don't even think God was called God or Yahweh. That's that's dangerous advice. That's
Agreed.
and it has to be I wasn't sure if I even wanted to talk about it, but the more I think about it, it has to be brought to light.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not in a condemnation or like, picking on him. It's you. I get what you're saying, man, and I agree. I mean,
Well, and we have to be respectful about it, but I agree with everything you said, but and if Tyler ever watches this, Tyler, if you ever want to talk about it, man, we just want to understand where you're coming from and how you changed your mind. That's all, right?
instead he's gonna show a picture of me holding my hand up and say that's proof I'm a devil worshiper and that you're evil and but I like you said, I know there's a lot of people that do like this guy and he has a big following. So, to put out information like that,
It's
it,
no
it
different than Fox News. I know people that watch Fox News 24/7 and they think these people are their friends, like Sean Hannity and
yeah,
what even like Tucker Carlson. If Tucker says it, it's true.
yeah,
And they know that whatever they say now, people are going to believe. And I say this all the time on my channel. Don't believe a word I say. For the people watching this, don't believe a
yeah,
word I say. I'm
mhm,
just presenting information and then you take it, run it through your fact check process, right?
yeah,
And then take it from there because who am I? I don't know any more than anyone watching this.
yep.
Just because I can look things up online and read books, anyone can do that. So yeah, that's all. I don't want to harp on it, but I think it's related to the flat earth. He says he's the fittest flat earther, so we have to, and we're doing a flat earth show. So,
Yeah, and I
um,
gave you the inside information of my interaction with him,
right, which is
uh,
strange.
and
But no,
yeah,
I thought of it because, and I'll go back and find it now. Maybe we'll play it. Maybe I'll add it to this video if we do include this, where he did a video calling David Weiss a shill because he was with Alex Jones and some other guy and Jaron, and how he was saying they're all Freemasons and they're all, and now here he is doing the same thing.
yeah. I mean, to me, that he's a person who likes to slander people, and to me, that's very offensive. For him to talk about Alex Jones, he's literally doing the same thing Alex Jones does, which I'm going to go like with the words of Bill Cooper. Uh, People like Alex Jones or Tyler, you do nothing but actually hurt our community by the stuff you do. You actually hurt the community by doing what you do. Slandering and lying does not help this community. So, yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I feel.
yeah, and we're trying to unite people, and I was even like excited because I know someone that knows Tyler, and I was like, oh, I would love to. I looked up to him, I really did, until this recent revelation came out about he's denying the name of Jesus. I really like respected him. I was following, and I got hooked on every word he said. I believed it. Like Morgan Freeman is really Jimi Hendrix. Like I believe that. And maybe it is true. I'm not saying it isn't, but
Hmm.
you get attached to the person, not the information. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right? Don't get attached to me and Vinny. Get attached to the truth.
yeah,
Right? Because if you get attached to the person, now if they do end up being a shill or a liar, you're now gonna follow them down that wrong path,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And we don't want that. We don't want to be set up as we are the all-knowing, and whatever we say is the truth, and you must listen to every word we say as being 100% true. Just take the truth and do what you want with it. Um, any final words, Vinny?
uh, yeah. The one thing I forgot to bring up that I told you I wanted to say, um, about the Millennial Kingdom, I think an important fact that I feel like I see is an easy mistake that a lot of people do is Ezekiel 38 and 39 and Revelations. Um, I brought this up to Paul and them a while ago. Like, it's clearly two different events, and I think the majority of people think that they're both talking about the same event. But to me, it's clearly different. And even typing it into AI a couple hours before I came on here to see, even AI was saying that it's two separate things. Um,
Hmm.
that the first one is talking about God is actually bringing Gog and Magog to 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 attack Israel, right? So the first one is that God is bringing them to attack Israel, right? And uh and then God, destroys them and or whatever. But now Revelation, or for us who believe, we're after the millennial kingdom and we're going into Revelation, now it's talking about the devil, because right, he was just let loose. Now the devil is in charge of gathering the nations to wage war with the camp of the saints. It's two different events. And I feel like I think a lot of people, I don't hear people talking about that, and I think people get confused tying them together. And I see them that they're clearly talking about two events. Ezekiel's talking about the one that already happened, and that's what I was saying. Like, everything got destroyed already when Gog and Magog were going to attack Jerusalem, restore Jerusalem,
Yep.
right? And now then you have a millennial kingdom. Devil's let loose for a short season to go deceive the nations to wage war with the camp of the saints. That's different than the Ezekiel one. So, um, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I felt that was an important topic I
You're
didn't say
right.
last time.
Yep, you're right. And I didn't know that, or I never thought about it, and I just did. I looked it up real quick too, and right online it does say yes that there was two separate Gog and Magog wars.
Yep.
One is like you said, this the one described in Ezekiel, coalition of nations led by Gog that invades Israel,
Yes.
set in the time when the Israelites are regathered and living securely in their land. The second battle, mentioned in Revelation 20:7 through 10, occurs after the millennial reign of Christ, where
Yep.
Satan deceives the nations for battle against God's people. Even AI is admitting that there's a
Yes.
millennial reign of Christ on earth. People wake up. It already happened. Um, but yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, it was something that was confusing to me in the beginning, and then, figuring that out with my friend Matt. That's why I've been trying to, tell Paul and everybody about this for a while. I figured I didn't say that last time to your audience. Um, yeah, it's like, the devil, because during the millennial kingdom and everything, people still, it wasn't like everybody was a robot. People still, like, their heart people could choose to do wrong.
There was
You
still rebellion.
Yeah, and especially that's why the devil's let loose again to try to deceive, and the people who are going to go with him, it's on them because we actually were born. Like, there's no way to say that you didn't know Jesus. Jesus, this whole infrastructure and everything, like we talked about, everything revolves around Jesus. So,
Everything.
so when Judgment Day comes, the final judgment, you can't say you didn't know Jesus. No, you knew. You chose not to care or follow him and believe that you were a monkey or whatever you wanted to believe. So this is like Satan's out getting people to, you know,
And
be deceived and join him and his army. Uh,
now,
yeah,
yeah, now, sorry, I'm just, uh, my thoughts are fleeting. And if I don't ask the question
yeah,
right when I get
yeah,
it, I'll never remember. This is important, though. I was talking to a friend yesterday, someone I haven't talked to in a while, and they said the, uh, the jibber jabbered, those who got double and triple jibber jabbed by
uh-huh,
the jab juice, whatever you want to call it, are acting different. They're irritable. They act more angry. They're just not the same people. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but and I've noticed it too. I was kind of ignoring it for a while, but when they said that, I was like, yeah, I see that even in people that I'm close to that have gotten it.
hmm
They're not acting themselves, and they're certainly not. They seem very much attached to this world,
yeah,
right? When you say like, "Hey, we just got to sell everything and go live off the land," and they want nothing to do with that, which tells me that they are something is holding them into being connected to this world. Is that your kitty? Is that who is
yeah,
that?
yeah, my cat. Sorry.
What's his name?
This is Princess. They're two girls we have.
Oh, Princess. She's cute. Maybe someday Princess will be Max's girlfriend. Hey, Princess.
Yeah,
Oh, she's beautiful. Orange
thank you.
cats are the best, aren't they?
She's
Orange
like
cats.
I've never she's amazing. She's so like loving and it's weird. She she's like I call her cat dog. I was only used to
Yeah,
dogs my whole life. My wife's always been about cats and she rescued both of them when like a year ago when they were like 4 or 5 weeks old. Their mom stopped feeding them. They were barn cats and she rescued them.
that's great, man. Yeah, my mother had an orange cat, and he was like a person. He wasn't even like a
Yeah,
dog. He used to
personality,
walk.
man.
He used to wait for the kids, the school kids, at the top of the street, and then walk them to school. He would like walk with the school
Wow.
children, make sure they got to school safely. Yeah. Um, all right. So my point is, what is your prediction? Who is the army for this final battle? Is it the people that got the jibber jab, Are they going to be
I
turned
think
into
that
like zombie robots or something?
I don't think so. I think, that they want a big culling of the population. Um,
But the army will be like the sands of the sea, billions of, right? Does it have a number? Does it say a
it
number?
says like no, it says like,
This-
innumerable like the sand of the sea.
Okay.
Now again, I don't know if that was talking about the first one. I don't know if that's
No,
from
that's in
that's
Revelation
Revelation.
20. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's where again I get into where I think outside the box that there has to be more land because if we're going to take that literal, I mean, is that where we're living? The 7 billion people allegedly that live on this earth? Are we that? It would mean, I mean, I guess some people could say that that's that. I think that it could be people that are living outside of here. It talks about, again, going to the four corners to gather the nations, meaning where I believe there's people living outside of where we are now. And I think it's those people uh, coming to go after.
Oh, okay, interesting. And yeah, that's it. That's I never thought about that. Yeah, they could be gathering the armies like in Game of Thrones. They had all the people on the
Yeah.
other side of the ice wall, the giants
Yes. Yeah, these
and the
freaks, these
walkers.
Nephilim or whatever, and
Yeah, yeah. Jeez.
Dogman, and
God.
I mean, that's what to me, that's something that me and Matt talk about a lot is again the four corners. Maybe we're like in the middle and these things are out there where we're not allowed to know about.
Yep.
Past the ice walls, there's more
Because
land. Uh,
if we knew, people would say that we would demand action, right? Well, why isn't the military going after them? Why are you bombing, all these other countries on this side when
mhm.
there's bigger problems on the other side? And
Yeah,
then people might put two and two together and go, well, maybe the people in charge of this world are working with those things on the other side, right?
exactly.
That's why they're not afraid of them because
The
they are them,
extraterrestrials, the outer land, the extra land,
right?
extraterrestrial
Well,
terror.
they're even now admitting, I think the government, the people, the whistleblowers, the UFO whistleblowers are even admitting now that there's other lands. They're no
Yeah,
longer like
it has
pushing
to be.
the, they're no longer pushing the planets thing as much, saying like they're aliens from planets. They're saying there's aliens from other parts of this.
Yeah, coming out from under the water, past the
Right,
past the
right.
ice in Antarctica,
So
or
yeah, and the other I was on the phone with a friend right before we did this, and I said I'm gonna be talking to Vinny. What do you want me to ask him? And she said, "What does he think? When is the end of the little season? Do you think it's the 4th of July?"
well, what's funny is I was the one who told Paul and everyone that trying to figure out what's a short season, and I'm the one who said, to me, the longest that could mean is 250 years would be the longest. Like I don't think it could be longer than that, right? And I'm not saying it is. It's just, my opinion, right? And that's when I brought up 1776 and that would literally be 250 years is coming up on this
And
July.
they're planning on a
And it
huge
yeah, there's a lot.
celebration,
So,
right? They're gonna
yeah.
have this huge military celebration in July.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and looking at current events, I mean, it looks like they're definitely trying to have their World War III event, destroy the dollar. Now, this new sickness coming that they're saying is going to kill 40% of the people who get it. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm sure you and your audience have. But, everything's just amping up and, there can't be much more time left. Like but if he had unlimited time, he would destroy everything. So, we're basically have gotten to that point. Even like the weather, we have to admit, like what they're doing to geoengineering, they're killing off. It's an absolute fact that like the animals are dying, the sea life is dying, insects are dying, people are dying. Like for people to think that it's going to be a long, I don't think that we physically could go much longer. Even the animals, I don't think like if he had unlimited time every bee would be dead, every person would be dead, every freaking fish would be dead. So I don't see how it could be much longer.
One famine, one famine is, or even if they're already trading water publicly on the New
Hmm.
York Stock Exchange, that means they plan on controlling the water.
Oh, without a doubt.
And
They,
once that happens, you
yeah,
don't fall in line. You're not getting your rations, which includes your weekly supply of water. There's 90% of the population right there.
yeah,
They run out of water. I mean, yeah, and not to
yeah,
end on a down note, but I agree with you. It can't. This is unsustainable the way things are
yep.
going, and uh, I do think it's going to end. And I did have one more question. Uh, Somebody in the comments, or maybe it was an email, I can't remember, said you're wrong. You don't have to be obedient to God. All you have to do is believe and you're saved. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a touchy subject. I've heard, all the different sides of it. Um, yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a theological question. I don't consider myself, probably the best expert. I'm more of a conspiracy guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
But yeah, to me, we are saved by Jesus. Jesus redeems us. There's nothing that we can do. Uh, it's through his grace that we are saved.
So you
Um,
believe once saved, always saved.
as long as you're not rejecting him, uh, and because I'm someone who, I mean, I say myself, I mess up, man. I'm gonna mess up tomorrow. We constantly mess up and fall short,
But
and
rejecting
but
him,
we
that's a good
that's
point.
different.
Yeah.
You know, me, like, I feel bad and I repent and I say, man, I suck. I need help. And,
Yeah, yeah.
like acknowledging it and repenting, saying like, like even like for me, smoking weed, I smoked weed for like so long. I never thought I could even function without it. I thought I was gonna smoke, like I had to smoke till I died. Like it was like medicine. And I was never strong enough to quit. And I just kept praying. And I was like, Jesus, like, I need your help, man. Like, I'm too weak. And then all of a sudden, like, it was like a switch went off, bro. And it was like all temptation was gone and was able to not smoke no more. I could be around people smoking, no urge, no nothing. And I remember my family and people being like, "You stopped smoking? Like, how did you?" I'm like, Jesus, that's the only way. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
me. I couldn't do it. I'm too weak.
Yeah.
Like,
He gave you the power you needed.
yeah, like,
But
we're flawed individuals. That's part of why God sent Jesus. Like, even the Jews, I point out, nobody was perfect. Everybody messed up. And, just trying to be perfected. You see that even with like these new age people, like, oh, you just keep coming back until you get it, until you perfect. Like, you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. That's why we need a savior.
right.
We need, and we're only saved because of his grace and his
But
love. And
with rejection, like killing someone is rejecting Jesus. Like you can't go out and kill someone because you're saying, I don't care. You're rejecting
but
Jesus.
can't you be forgiven? Like I've pointed out Jeffrey Dahmer. I go like extreme. Jeffrey Dahmer, right? How could anybody think Jeffrey Dahmer could go to heaven? Well, when he was in prison, he realized, and I put it in one of my videos, him talking with his dad and an interviewer. It was because of evolution, actually. Fun point. It was his faith because he believed in evolution. He said, "What does it matter? Like I did this and that. Like, yeah, because it's do without wilt, right? No judgment.
Hmm.
What does it matter, right?" And then he said he found, these Bible things and showing that evolution's a lie and that there is judgment. And he gave himself to Jesus Christ and
Oh, I
became,
didn't know that.
yeah,
Jeffrey
bro.
Dahmer died a Christian. He was
Yes.
a Christian when
Yes.
I
And
didn't know
I
that.
asked you, I said, "Do you believe Jeffrey Dahmer was forgiven?" I do.
Well, the difference is, I guess what I'm talking about is
Son of
once,
Sam, Son of Sam, another one. He was a devil worshiper, killed those people working with a satanic cult,
yeah.
goes to jail. And he said, "I don't know why I'm forgiven. I shouldn't be forgiven, but I felt
Oh,
Jesus forgive me," and he became it. And he was all about preaching
we gotta
Jesus to people.
we gotta talk about that. So there's a book about that called The Ultimate Evil,
Uh-huh.
and I read it when I was 13. I was fascinated with the
About Son of
occult.
Sam. right?
Yeah, about the
Yeah.
Son of Sam. It was written by the FBI agent who was in charge of the investigation, Maury Terry, I think his
Hmm.
name was. Oh boy, I always thought that guy was a brave hero. It turns out Maury Terry, he was a shill
Hmm.
working for this. That's why he just said, yeah, there's all these satanic cults, but it was too big. We had to like stop investigating because it was bigger than even the FBI could handle. They had networks all over the world. It turns out Maury Terry was like, I don't know, I have to go look into it again, but I just read
I know
something
what you're talking
recently.
about.
Yeah, Maury Terry was like one of the part of the cult, and he was in charge of the investigation into the Son of Sam, and he just kept saying, "Yeah, it's too dangerous. We can't go after these cults. They're too."
Yeah, Son of Sam wouldn't give up the names even when he was in jail. He admitted, he said he was part of it. There was other people involved and he was part of a satanic cult.
Yeah.
He says, some of the people are dead. He said some of them are alive and I can't talk about who they are.
So next time we talk, I think we need to do a music industry
I'd love
subject
to.
video because I'm fascinated by it, and there's so much.
Yeah.
And even because my one of my recent videos, I've got the song by Chicago, Saturday in the Park. I think it was the 4th of July,
Yeah, you were telling me and some other songs
and
that's
I want to know, and I want to know what you think. Where are these guys? Like I know Led Zeppelin said they wrote. Robert Plant said the lyrics of "Stairway to Heaven" were given to him by like a higher power, like a demon, probably, right?
yeah, I mean
He
that's
said
what it seems like a lot of these people say and
the songs write themselves. Like you said, Blue Oyster Cult,
yeah.
the lyrics are all very a huge. I'm a huge Blue Oyster Cult fan too. I can't even listen to them anymore because I know it's all dark, it's magic and wizardry and whatever. But
Yeah, John Todd, man. Shout out John
John
Todd.
Todd, right? So we should do that next time. Let's do that because it does tie into the little season too, right? Because they do sing about that. The
Yeah,
Meat Puppet song, Lake of Fire.
yeah,
Where do
yeah,
bad folks go when they die? They don't go to heaven where the angels fly. Uh, see them again on the 4th of July. That's the lyrics in that song. See them
yeah.
again on the 4th. So it's fascinating to me how the lyrics are being written and it tells truth, right? They're telling truth through demonic forces or something, right? And John Todd said that they were having witches' covens come in and cursing the master tapes and
Hmm.
so let's talk about that next time if you want.
Yeah, and I'll bring. I told you I got that book. I got some good books I could bring for that.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Did you look at I've got to leave soon. I have to go to my chiropractor appointment. I completely forgot. It was at 2:30 and they close at 5. Um, did you happen to look at that stuff I sent you from that guy that who emailed me all the flat earth model?
yes,
Was that anything close to what your
no,
No, it wasn't. Okay.
no.
It was
It's
the
still sort of
circle.
like a circle dish.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know why he says he has groundbreaking info.
I feel like he's close. Like some of the things, it's like he's almost trying to tie in square Earth. It's like
He
I said,
believes in the
like that.
moon map. The moon map is right.
Yeah,
And we
but to
didn't
me
talk
again,
about
that's
that.
circle dish.
Yeah,
That's
we didn't
circle
talk about
dish.
the moon map. That's important because I did a whole video about that saying the moon is the reflection of the earth.
Mhm.
And you're saying no, it's not. It's just random it just
Yeah, I
because
mean,
there's obvious continents on the moon. You can see there's
it
and
looks like it now. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe it's a plasma disk and it's a reflection of the rectangle, but because it's a disk, it's
It's on
spreading
a
it out.
circular
It's
image.
it's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that
Yeah,
because
okay.
again, they aren't physical. I mean, we know that the moon is holographic. The sun also, in my opinion, is provable. You even got a Russian scientist in the 60s saying like they're not going to the moon. It's not a physical thing. We all know that that's plasma.
Right.
We could see through the moon. You could see stars going through the moon. You could
Right.
see, blue sky behind the moon and see through. So it can't be a physical object. But what you said, yeah, I mean, I'm open-minded. Like I said, I don't put myself in a box thinking that things are
If you did,
impossible.
you wouldn't believe what you believe now.
Exactly.
You'd
I
still
think
be,
anything's possible.
yeah,
So,
I'm with you, man. All right, Vinny, thanks again. That's fascinating stuff. And I appreciate all the research you've done on this, and it really shows that you have put in the time to really look into these things because you have information that no one else has. I haven't heard any of this from anyone else. So God
I
bless you, man.
appreciate that.
That's amazing. You're really helping this community find the truth. And so thank you again,
Thank
Vinny.
you.
And I just want to say to everyone watching this, thank you all. You guys are amazing. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time on the next video. Good night.
Wake up, my friend, today life will show the answers. It's time for you to face the risk. Dark clouds will go away. Name all your fears, cause your mind can hide connections and disturb the harmony from your dramatic fate. Let it out, let it go. Grab the chances you've been waiting for so long.